Good morning, everyone. This is Manish Bajaj, your host from Dr. Reddy's. I am here with you with today's edition of Abhaya Talks, a series of talks organized by Dr. Reddy's by inspirational people so that we can give inspiration to our healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses, the pharmaceutical employees who are working at the forefront in this pandemic. We have had multiple speakers in the past who have given their perspective and inspiration to all of us. And it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this session. Today's speaker is a very inspirational leader. She has inspired millions and millions of us. She is none other than Sister Shivani from the Brahma Kumaris. We have seen her videos on YouTube, on social media, on TV, everywhere, and her discourses has helped millions of people, be it individuals, families, professionals. Her spiritual discourses are very simple, but they are yet very profound. And I have found they're very practical as well. So we can listen to them, hear them, get ourselves changed, and finally change our actions. As she says, we change our thoughts to finally change our actions. She has won numerous awards, and I can go on counting the awards. The most prominent being the Nari Shakti Puraskar, the highest civilian honor for women. And I think for changing human behaviors, it's the most difficult thing to do. And she has been at the forefront of that. She's also a ambassador for the World Psychiatrist Association, and over decades, she has been doing the selfless service of helping all of us go through mental distress through our spiritual discourses. So, welcome, Sister Shivani.
Om Shanti.
Om
Thank you so
Shanti.
much.
So, Sister Shivani, this is a real fanboy moment for me. I've been following your videos on YouTube and other places, and in many times, many distress times, they've helped me a lot. And I think for that, first of all, gratitude. For me, I've never gotten a chance to say thank you. So the acts that you don't do it for a gratitude, but finally you do it for your own sort of spiritual journey. And I think we have benefited a lot, and I'm sure other people would have benefited a lot as well. Today is also special for me because I just got vaccinated in the morning, right? So in these times, this is the first dose I've gotten, and as I was waiting during the vaccination process, I just realized what vaccination we are taking is to help our body adjust and accept this negative entity from outside. And it's a physical entity like a virus. And I said, maybe today I will get my another dose of vaccination from Sister Shivani to ward off the negative thoughts, right? I think which have their own journey. They can also become a pandemic. The negative thoughts can also become a pandemic and take a toll on your body and on your mental health, right?
Yes.
So tremendously difficult situation, Sister Shivani, and we have seen on TV and otherwise people around us suffering, and COVID has taken its toll in terms of people, and that especially put a toll on the healthcare infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, the human infrastructure, and we have seen the limits have been crossed in this time. During these times, Sister Shivani, one thought just comes. All of us get a little bit frustrated, and we try to blame external entities, right? Policymakers, the government, the authorities, the healthcare providers, and so that's very natural for human beings to blame others. How do you think we should deal with this situation, and maybe to some extent come to terms with it?
Uh, what are we blaming them for? That is what is very important. If I am not getting something which I need, even then, at least, okay, I have a right to say, they haven't provided me that what I need. But today, we're also blaming them for our stress, anxiety, fear, and worry. Emotionally, we cannot blame anybody or any situation. So that's separate. We need to separate that. I can blame someone for something physical that I needed, but there again, I need to shift from blame to understanding and to compassion that yes, the others are also trying their best. But like the situation is a crisis for us, the situation is also a crisis for them. In a country with our population, to suddenly be able to provide so much more, which was not planned for. So we need to be a little empathetic, compassionate, be supportive and appreciative. Because even when someone is doing a little bit, if they get the energy of motivation, support, and appreciation from others, their capacity to be able to do what they're doing will always increase. But if someone is stretching their limits and really working hard and still receiving criticism, abuse, and ridicule, it will only deplete them emotionally. They are human beings, they're not machines. So they are going to get affected by the vibrations of, again, 130 crore country creating for them. So even on social media handles, we should be very careful what we are saying, what we are writing, what we are reading. Please remember, every word we speak, we write, we think, we read is a vibration, and it's reaching those who may be not the best according to what we want them to be the best, but they are doing the best according to their capacity and radiate blessings and appreciation, and their capacity will increase. So we have the power to increase other people's capacity. But if we shift our energy, then we also have the power to deplete other people's capacity just by how we think, speak, read, and write. So please remember that, a little motivation and support can change things into another direction. And important is, don't blame anyone for your emotions. That's our creation. It's very easy to say, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? Let me ask myself, what am I doing? What is my responsibility? Most of us, millions of us, are at home. We're not even stepping out of the house. We are at home, we are safe and secure. And yet we are creating panic. Let everyone take this responsibility today, that you're safe, you're at home. Just take one responsibility, that you are going to keep your mind calm and stable. If they can do so much, we can do this much. If they can put their life at risk and go out and work, we can at least take care of our mind. Because if 130 crore people take care of their mind, the vibration of the country will change. The vibration will go to a healing energy. The country needs healing vibration right now. We are creating a lot of energies which is actually depleting the energy of the country. So moral responsibility of every human being, everyone, just take care of your mind. Your vibrations will take care a lot about what else is going on in the country. When we talk about blaming situations for how we are feeling, let's not talk about it first in context of COVID, because COVID is one of those rarest of rarest, and one of those crisis in our life. We can't call it a situation, it's a crisis. Let's just reflect and go back to life before March 2020. Okay, so before we heard the word COVID, and at that time, were we blaming people and situations for how we were thinking and feeling? So let's check, to what extent am I emotionally dependent? And if we reflect, we will find ourselves saying, I'm angry because of, I'm irritated because of, I'm upset because of, I'm happy because of. So whatever we are feeling here, it was because of something outside. And this is a kind of a programming that happened from childhood. Remember, in school, we used to even write an essay, the happiest day of my life. And the happiest day of my life had to be when something very nice happened outside. So that's where the programming goes, that if something perfect happens outside, I'm happy. So automatically, if something not perfect happens outside, then we believe it's natural to create anxiety and stress. So this was our programming. This is our equation of living before COVID. So even before COVID, we believed our emotions are dependent on situations and people's behavior. And that's why we had called stress, anxiety, worry, fear as normal, because the world was not perfect our way. People were not perfect our way. So we were creating all these emotions. So we were not very emotionally fit even before COVID. Because even before COVID, we were blaming. Suppose you're physically dependent, you need to hold someone's hand to go up to the other room, or you can't climb one flight of steps without getting breathless and you need someone's help, or you need to hold the railing of the staircase. All this is physical dependence, which means sign I need to change something in myself. Similarly, if I find myself emotionally dependent, it's a sign my emotional health needs care. So we were living like that before COVID, and then came a situation which is a little bigger in magnitude, and we said fear and anxiety is normal. Globally, we said fear and anxiety is normal. How I think and feel is my creation, it's my choice. So that's something we have to practice. Don't start practicing it in COVID, but start practicing it in the day to day little things that are happening around you. Someone not doing things your way, just choose. I can handle it better. I don't need to get angry. I don't need to get irritated, because if I do that, I'm depleting my emotional health. So save your emotional health in these little insignificant situations of the day. And then to face the crisis, you are in perfect emotional health. So then, yes, there is an epidemic, but fear and anxiety is not normal. Stability, faith, confidence, power, that is normal, because whenever there's a tough situation, it requires strong minds. It requires strong minds to face tough situations. So our human nature is to be emotionally independent.
Uh, Thank you, sister. So, building our journey towards emotional independence. I think that's your mantra. So, good point. And as I mentioned, the healthcare infrastructure is going through its own toll, and the healthcare workers, especially doctors, nurses, we've seen images of them working for hours in their PPE kits. Some of them being stressed because they don't have enough staff. Them getting the blame of patients' health deteriorating despite their best efforts. And at the same time, they have issues at their home. Their loved ones, near families, and friends are under some COVID-related situation. So they're going through a lot of these crises, and I thought they were the backbone of a healthcare system. All of us like bang the thalis in solidarity towards them. You even call them healers, like you give them a even bigger sort of level to them, but they're going through a lot of emotional distress, and we've gotten a lot of comments from a lot of doctors. We'll play a few sort of feedback from the doctors from the ground, and maybe then I'll get your response to those.
Namaskar. I am Mamta Sahu, a staff nurse working in Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Institute and Research Center since 2.5 years now. Basically, we in our hospital take care of cancer patients, but because of this ongoing pandemic and ongoing crisis, we are also taking care of COVID patients. The only question that I usually find myself asking is how to deal with the extreme expectations of suffering humankind during this pandemic from us as healthcare workers, as frontline workers. Also, I wonder sometimes how to tackle with the blames we are supposed to carry silently because of inevitable circumstances. Undoubtedly, this causes disturbed sleeping cycle, eating habits, insomnia, even disturbing deja vus in uncertain situations, which automatically hampers our emotional, physical, and spiritual balance. Thank you so much.
We'll hear a couple more, Sister Shivani. So maybe Dr. Harsh Shah's comment.
Namaste Shivani ji. I am Dr. Harsh Shah, neurologist from Rajkot. In this COVID time, it is difficult for us to maintain social and professional life. What should we do as a consultant? Please guide us. Thank you.
And from Dr. Sumit Goel from RGCI, who is an oncologist from Delhi. He also raises a very pertinent point.
Namaste Didi. My name is Dr. Sumit Goel. I'm working as medical oncologist at Delhi. We all are going through testing times. With COVID, if someone is admitted, he's isolated. We know COVID is an unpredictable disease. Sometimes the condition of the person keeps on deteriorating. So many people, both the sufferer and their family members, are not able to meet their loved ones and sometimes not even able to say one final goodbye. This brings in the feeling of sadness, guilt, helplessness, and uselessness for not being there when our loved ones needed us the most. This is very depressing and tormenting. So, my question is, have we failed our loved ones by not looking after them properly? Second, what would you advise in such a situation to remain positive? Thank you, Didi.
I think these are three just sample messages that we got from the doctors and the nurses. As you see, some of the messages like depression, mental stress, guilt, helplessness, work-life balance. These are very strong words. So, how would you want to react to that, Sister Shivani?
Like you so beautifully shared that, we're all full of gratitude for them. When the whole country came together to radiate that gratitude, it's because We know that gratitude is unconditional, pure vibrations, unconditional, pure vibrations. And when millions of people together create these pure vibrations, they reach the people for whom they are being created. So whether we meditate and pray for those who are going through healing, whether we meditate and pray for the families who are at home, or we meditate and pray for those who are healing them, everyone, each one in the healthcare industry, each one in the pharmaceutical industry, not only the doctors and nurses who are our visible faces, whom we interact with, whom we see on media, whom we meet, but there's so many people even back end whom nobody ever sees. In fact, sometimes we need to think more about them because they never even get a thank you face to face from anybody. Nobody is going to go up to someone who's back end somewhere in the store, working day in and day out, and when the patient is fine and leaving from the hospital, the patient is so much full of love and appreciation for the nurses, for the doctors, but they won't get to connect with that brother who's there in the store and go and meet them. So many of them who are back end, they never get acknowledged. They even don't even meet the people. They don't even know who got healed, who's left. They won't get to see the result of their effort also. At least when we get to see the results of our efforts, that itself is energizing. Like when someone is not able to make it, it's depleting. But when someone is able to make it and recovers and goes home, the kind of happiness that every nurse and doctor would go through, everyone needs to know about it. So what all of them are going through is amazing. And we can just say that they are creating nothing less than a miracle in what they are doing. Because physical fatigue, even if we don't say emotional, but first physical fatigue, that tirelessly day in and day out, situation, the situation, even though healthcare professionals are kind of trained, experienced to handle crisis, handle death, handle families of patients, but not when so many are happening every single day. So it's completely different. We sitting at home are getting affected just by watching the visual of it on TV. I have been talking to so many people who are experiencing panic and anxiety, even though there's no COVID in their house. I am receiving emails. People are saying, if I die, who will take care of my children? And then you ask them why, something not right. They say, no, everything right. But what if I die? They're not even COVID positive. This is the impact of media and all the videos that we see. And what about those who are dealing every single day? So I think what we need to do is the entire country needs to make it a point every single day in your prayers. Everyone prays daily. And even if we don't, then let's do it now. That in your prayers, consciously remember everyone who is working right now tirelessly and selflessly, and just 2 minutes pray for them. Just do it, because 130 crore people praying for somebody will create amazing energy. We are only facilitators. We're only a part of the karma and the destiny of the person who has come before us. It's their journey also. Our conscience is clear that we did our best, but we cannot take the emotional burden saying that I did not do something right and that's why this has happened. That is not something that we will be able to carry, because this can create an emotional trauma which can stay for very long. So in the night before going to sleep, it has to happen in the night, which means don't go to sleep with it. It's the sleeping part which is important. So before going to sleep, surrender or write it out. Why we write daily letter or a journal in the night? Write it out what happened today and surrender. I tried my best, but this is what happened today. So release and cleanse your mind before you go to sleep, so that the next morning your mind will be in a better position to face the next day. If you allow the pain of every single day to go deep into your subconscious every night, then after a few days, it will start building as emotional fatigue. It's emotional fatigue. Why do we sleep? We sleep so that we rest and energize our body for next day. Otherwise, we'll fall down after 5 days if we do it with. But the same has to be done for the mind also. So energizing not just for the body during sleep, but energizing for the mind. So release it, clean it. If you want to say sorry to somebody in your sleep before sleeping, say it, but do everything before going to sleep. and please consume something very pure and positive. Any, whatever you like, the scriptures you study, or a spiritual paragraph, or a little positive video, 5-10 minutes, not much. You don't have more time, never mind. Just 5-10 minutes before going to sleep. And in the morning, even if you don't have time, just while you're driving to work, just use that time. Use that time to flood your mind with positivity so that your mind has the strength to face the rest of the day.
Great. I think I call it micro vaccinations for the mind. So I think what you said, Sister Shivani, very, very important. So I want to rephrase for our audience here. First of all, the 130 crore people have to give their unconditional
Yes.
gratitude to the people getting healed, their caregivers, and the people healing them. And as you rightly said, there are a lot of unsung, unseen, selfless heroes in this journey, and our prayers have to go to each one of them. The third piece you mentioned around the daily activities that the healers need to do. One around the night, surrender yourself, which I say I would link it to being sanitizing yourself at the night. Just sanitize yourself. And in the morning, you also mentioned around building yourself with a lot of positivity. So giving you energy for the day. So very, very practical, sort of practical tips, Sister Shivani. We have one very specific question from a senior doctor in Jaipur. Dr. Lalit Sharma, who's a hematologist. He's a healer, so he's saying, I want to take care of myself, but I also want to fill in positivity into my patient. So let's hear from Dr. Lalit Sharma.
नमस्कार, मैं डॉक्टर ललित मोहन शर्मा जयपुर में महात्मा गांधी मेडिकल कॉलेज में कैंसर का स्पेशलिस्ट हूँ। दीदी, मैं आपका बहुत बड़ा फैन हूँ और काफ़ी टाइम से मैं आपके कई सारे प्रीचिंग्स को सुनता हूँ और यूट्यूब पे भी देखता हूँ और हमेशा मुझे बहुत पॉजिटिव एनर्जी मिलती है। अभी इस समय पे जैसा कोरोना का पेंडेमिक चल रहा है और काफ़ी सारे डॉक्टर्स की डेथ हो गई, हमारे काफ़ी रिश्तेदारों की डेथ हो गई, हेल्थ केयर वर्कर्स की डेथ हो गई, पूरी दुनिया में जहाँ भी हम लोग अपना टीवी ऑन करते हैं, इंटरनेट ऑन करते हैं, ये नेगेटिव न्यूज आती है। ऐसे में जो कैंसर के पेशेंट्स और जो कोविड के पेशेंट हमारे पास आते हैं, वो डॉक्टर से उम्मीद रखते हैं कि हम हमेशा उनमें पॉजिटिव एनर्जी भर दें और हम उनको हमेशा बहुत पॉजिटिव बात बोलें। इस पेंडेमिक में कैसे हम अपने आप को भी बैलेंस रखें और कैसे मरीजों में हम पॉजिटिव एनर्जी भर सकें, इस पे आप गाइड करें प्लीज। थैंक यू।
This is the reason why we call them healers and not just doctors, because doctors treat the body.
Yeah.
And healers heal the mind. And we've all experienced this, that after meeting the doctor, if we feel that very pure, positive energy, that very energizing thing, the body starts feeling better even before the treatment has started. So a healer's vibration has a big impact on the vibrations of the patient. And the vibrations of the patient has an impact on the body. But positivity radiating from a healer to a patient is not just in terms of words and behavior. That we can do. So when they must be meeting the patient, they must be doing it. Ki nahi, aap theek ho jaoge, everything will be fine. You don't worry, we are with you. Because of course it's the truth. What they are saying is all the truth. But right now there is so much panic and anxiety on the other side that words will not be enough. And words will not have an effect if the mind is saying something else. So if the mind of the healer is in pain, is in stress, then the best of words will not have an energizing effect. So the only way to energize somebody else is to have that in your energy field, which means your mind has to be very calm, very stable, very positive. So simple things like we discussed now. One is the consuming of pure content every morning, every night. We have to do that. One more thing. Let's create a few thoughts right now, which we call affirmations for healers. So because we don't have time to meditate right now, we are coming home very tired. And sometimes that I've been talking to doctors, they say by the time we reach home, we are so tired that even if we want to meditate, we can't. So it's understandable. So right now we are not talking meditation. We're just saying we'll take a few affirmations, which means we're just going to create a few thoughts. And even for those who don't know how to meditate, they can do this. It's very easy. So let's say one affirmation is, I am a powerful being. So when I'm creating this thought, I am a powerful being, it's getting recorded here. So it can be in my mind, or I can say it, or I can write it. Either of the three things when I do, it's getting recorded here and it's becoming a part of my aura. So I am a powerful being. I am calm and stable always. Hmm? So we are not going to record what is reality, that I'm very stressed, but we are going to record what I want to become, because thoughts manifest and they become a reality. So affirmation plus visualization will become a reality. So I'm a powerful being. I'm calm and stable always. I am fearless. I am fearless, because there's a lot of fear energy in the air. So I am fearless. I have faith. Fourth, I'm an instrument of the divine power. I am an instrument. So I'm just going to be light like an instrument. I will feel that someone is using me, which means God's energy is using me to do the healing. But I have to create that thought that I am an instrument. I am God's angel, and God uses me to heal each one who comes to me. I am his angel. I'm going to create that programming every day. Then, sixth, my body is perfect and healthy and will always be. So I remove that thought, what if this happens to me? So my body is perfect and healthy and will always be. Then one more affirmation. The divine energy circle of protection is around me. This is a very, very important visual, that God's power and blessings is a divine circle of protection around me. Like we wear a PPE kit so that we don't consume the virus, we wear a divine energy vibrational kit so that we don't consume the vibrations of pain around us. It's just a thought. Vibrations of pain around us is just a thought, but it hits me. So I protect myself, that the highest vibrational divine energy is a circle of protection around me. Visualize yourself in a divine light white aura. Now, draw the same thing for your family. Very important. So that you remove this thought, what if something happens to them? And draw the same thing for your hospital. Do this every morning and every night. Divine circle of protection around my hospital. Everything is perfect. Everything is smooth. Everyone is healed. Because sometimes things can go wrong. Na? Sometimes we don't have oxygen. So we have to bless that place every day. Everything is perfect. Everything is smooth. Everyone is healed. And last affirmation for the country and the planet. Divine circle of protection around the country and the planet. Now, these are 10 thoughts. I'm a powerful being. I'm calm and stable always. I am fearless. I'm God's instrument. I'm God's angel. He's using me to heal everyone. My body is perfect and healthy. Divine circle of protection around me, around my family, around my hospital, around the country and the world. 10 thoughts. And how much time will it take? 20 seconds. So we're talking of very, very, so no, we can't say we don't have time for this. But these 10 thoughts, when a healer starts creating on a daily basis, first in the morning, definitely, last thought in the night before you go to sleep. So after you release and you cleanse your mind, say these thoughts like your personal prayer. And remember, they're getting recorded into your subconscious because it's your last thought before your sleep. Now, these thoughts within a week will start becoming a part of your energy field because you're recording them every single day. Now go. Now meet your patients, meet the nurses, meet people who are upset and angry, and all that you have recorded is part of your aura and it's reaching them. Positivity has to go from the energy field of the healer now to the patient. It can't be just by words. So when you record, I'm God's angel, I'm an instrument, they will start experiencing pure divine energy from you. Please say these affirmations just before you have your meal, because our food absorbs vibrations and that becomes our state of mind. Food and water in a hospital is carrying a lot of pain vibrations. In Hindi, it's a very powerful line. Jaisa anna, vaisa man. Jaisa pani, vaisi vani. So as is the food, so is the mind. As is the water, so is the words. So just energize your food and water with this 3 seconds. It will take only 3 seconds. Just say 3 seconds into your food, into your water. Within 10 days, it's not going to take long. If anybody does this, within 10 days, they will start feeling better than what they were 10 days back. And then the journey is only upwards.
Very good. Thank you, sister. This is very practical. The 10 mantras, as I would call it, for affirmations and visualization. Finally, making these thoughts becoming reality. And the divine. I really like the concept of the divine shield protecting all of us, so that you can leave your worries outside that shield, and the shield will take care of you. And I think very practical tips on the food and water. Very important. What we consume is what we become. Very important points there. So thanks a lot for those practical tips. One very specific comment that we've gotten from one of the doctors, as you know, we've had a lot of deaths in this second round of COVID, and especially people who are dying young. And as you know, doctors have seen deaths, but not at the scale and the magnitude of younger people dying. So very tough question asked by one of our senior doctors from Surat.
Good afternoon, Ma'am Sivaniji. Om Shanti. I, Dr. Sandhya Chasatia, practicing gynecologist at Surat, wanted lots of tips from you to guide us. And in spite of hearing and reading lots of from you and from your websites, Shivaniji, with so much emotional, financial, and health related uncertainties, we doctors have become a little bit stable now, but yet it is very difficult to counsel a young dying patient's relatives. We also become emotional at that time. Kindly guide us how to counsel in this situation. Thank you.
Any word you say, you cannot think of any word which is going to allow the other person to feel better, because there's nothing that can make you feel better when you know that someone of your family or friend is going to leave or has already left. So there's no word which can make people feel better. But spiritually, we understand, and I have experienced with many, that when they understand, they start taking care of how they are going to think. Spiritually, we are not just a body. We are an energy which is running this body. So we call ourselves a human being. Human being means human, humus, mitti, this body, and being is the energy. So when a doctor takes a patient into an operation theater, they will say, take Mr. So-and-so inside. Suppose it doesn't work out. They will say, sister, take the body out. So when the patient was being taken in, it was Mr. So-and-so. But after that, it is take the body out. So why is it take the body out after that? Because the master of the body has left. Now it's just the body. So in Hindi, it's called Arthi. So Arthi means the Rathi. The Rathi, the charioteer of that Rath is no more there. So then in spiritual language, we call that soul, consciousness, light, energy, power, whatever word, but it's energy. We call it Ruhu. We can call it spirit. So every religion knows it, that there is a spirit, there's an energy, and this is the body. So death means the energy has left. Death means energy has left. Energy is eternal. Energy cannot be finished. So left and gone where? So gone where means they have left from one body and the soul enters the womb of a mother and the new life is about to begin. So a soul leaves one body and the journey is into the womb of another body. And then the soul will be there in the womb for the next 8 months, 9 months. And after that, a baby will be born. Now we know this, we've experimented, we've experienced, and we know it for certain, but people have to experiment with it. That here, the family who's left behind, whatever thoughts you create, it reaches the soul. And because like how we said, when we think of the doctors, we meditate, it's reaching them, no? Similarly, when we are thinking of our family member to whom we are so attached, whom anyways, when we used to think of them, they could feel our vibrations, we could feel their happiness, their sadness. Whatever we think from here, it reaches them. This affects their new journey. So if we send vibrations to them, how will I live without you? Come back. My life is no purpose without you. Otherwise, take me also with you. Our so-called normal thoughts create a lot of pain for that soul who's moving forward. And that's why the 9-month journey of every mother is very different. Very different. Pregnancy is a very different experience for every mother. For some mothers, it's very comfortable. They don't even know and when the baby is born. And for some mothers, there's a lot of pain, a lot of turmoil, it's a lot to do with the state of the mind of the soul who has entered and the state of the family, what vibrations they are sending. People understand this. They understand what we are saying, that the soul in the womb is creating the garab sanskar, the sanskar, the personality of that baby is getting created. What kind of energy would you want to send your family member? Send them love. Remember them not with tears and pain, but send them love, because you don't want to send them pain. Send them gratitude. Don't say you should have stayed longer. Say gratitude for all those years, every moment and everything. So we're going to remember only them. We can't do anything else right now. But the type of remembrance has to change from pain, complaining, helplessness to gratitude, blessings, and love. And most important, every family needs to do this every day, every morning, every night. Sit together, connect to them, and say one thing: we are all fine here. You don't worry about us. We will take care of ourselves. You have to set into your life. Every day we have to say this, like you would say it to someone who went to another city or another country. Would you call them up and say, come back, we can't live without you? No. Say, no, we are fine.
Great, sister. I think you made the concept clear, the physical body versus the master of the body. And the master goes to a different physical manifestation. So the family needs to ensure all the positivity goes to that new physical manifestation as well. A very, very powerful thought. I know healers like you and healers like Dr. Sandhya try to do their best in these times. But as you say, we are in Kali Yuga. There's a lot of distrust between the healers and the patient, right? And I think over the decades, this distrust has grown quite a bit, right? And one of our senior doctors from Chennai really puts this point very simply, and yet I think it's a very tough question. It's a tough dilemma. So let's hear the question from Dr. Pritika from Chennai.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pritika Chari, neurologist, neurosurgeon from Chennai. Madam Shivani, I'm a great fan of yours. When, as a doctor, you are struggling and doing your best, making all these sacrifices, when the patient doesn't trust you and suspects you and feels that you're not helping them, that you're hurting them, there's a lot of distrust. How does the medical professional deal with that?
So as you can see, sister, I could hear it in her voice. I think a doctor with
Yes,
decades and
absolutely.
decades of experience, you could see the pain that she's going through because
Yes,
of the distrust.
absolutely. Yeah. One thing, as healers, compassion is their nature. Compassion, because they know that the other person who's come to them is in pain. But compassion is because the person is going through a disease. Now, we just need to add one more element to the compassion, and that is the other person is also emotionally not fine. Is emotionally not fine. Not all patients must be behaving like this. We know that not all family members. So you're going to have it's a spectrum of people whom we are interacting with on a daily basis, which is in every profession. So suppose you look at it in your office, and if you're working with 10 people, someone has a nature of doubting, and some people trust very easily. Some people trust blindly. It is called a sanskar of a person. This is a nature of a person. And in spite of the best effort happening from the doctor, they are not able to trust simply because they are not doing it that time. They would be doing it with other people in their other spheres of life also, because they are carrying a sanskar of doubt. But we need to remember it's their sanskar. Your best effort also will not be able to change their sanskar. And if someone has a sanskar of faith and trust, even if you've made a mistake, we can make a mistake. We don't do intentionally wrong, but sometimes there could be a little error. And, they are going to be so understanding, and they're going to say, Dr. Saab, we know that you did your best, but rest is our destiny also, na? Because everything you can't do, we know it's between God and us, but we know you did your best. So they meet those kind of patients also. So this is all about a spectrum of society. People are going to come to us with different sanskars. It's just that don't take it personally. Don't think that they're doubting you. Just remember they are carrying a sanskar of doubt. So they are emotionally not fit, like physically not fit, right now emotionally not fit. They are carrying a sanskar of doubt. It's about their nature. It's not about your effort or any lack in your hard work or your sincerity. When people behave with us, we take it as if it's about us. People's behavior, people's words, what they say, how they say, It's not about us, it's about who they are. So if someone is very appreciative, it's about their nature. And if someone is very criticizing, it's about their nature. We can take the feedback, but we don't take the vibrations of their nature because we know it's about them. It's about them. And we continue. We continue with our best efforts and sincere energies because if we consume their nature, it will affect our vibration and our state of mind. And we don't want to dip that even a little bit. So just remember, they are not doubting you. Doubt is their sanskar. And we continue. We don't have to prove people. Truth cannot be proved. Truth has the power to reveal itself. We just continue with our hard work because it's between us and our karma. Our karma needs to be clean. We're doing it for ourselves. It's not a favor to a patient. You're doing it because it's your ethics, your authenticity, and your karma. And that's what we have to continue with.
Great. So I think it's about our karma and sort of the pure energy and not necessarily get entangled into other
Yeah.
people's sanskar. So very good point. I think we've talked about a lot of issues, mental stress, physical stress. But in these times, what we have also seen, extraordinary acts of goodness, extraordinary acts of kindness. I think newspaper would have read that article from someone from Pune, 85-year-old giving up his bed for a young patient and finally losing his life. Auto rickshaw guys, the taxi walas who were carrying COVID patients, the dead bodies selflessly without caring about infection. So is it also the yin and the yang? This Ravan outside is awakening the Ram inside us. Is it? How do you provide perspective to this, sister?
See, every soul, every human being, every soul has all the beautiful qualities, which are our seven bodhi. We call it Sato Guni Atma, which means the soul is made of seven beautiful qualities. It's purity, peace, power, love, happiness, knowledge, and bliss. These are seven qualities of the soul. So, emotional health means you are high in these seven qualities. If I don't take care of them, then I create a disease in the soul, which means lust, anger, greed, jealousy. So, physical health, not taken care, disease. Emotional health, seven qualities, not taken care, disease. So, like doubt, mistrust, worry, all this is spiritual disease. But all of us have that spiritual health. That means we have those seven qualities. Now it's up to us which one am I going to use. We are able to use those seven qualities when everything is perfect around us. So if you're nice to me, it's very easy for me to be nice to you. It's very easy for me to help you if you're helping me. But when things are not very right, where I may be giving up something by helping you, that that itself is a sign that that's a sanskar of that very beautiful soul. So these are their sanskars, and the more we will shift our mind towards seva right now, which means to take care of other people emotionally, verbally, financially, physically, in whichever way, it's going to build up our emotional health. So whenever we do a good karma for someone else, it builds up our emotional health. So seva is a power. Last year in the month of May, we did a little program called Seva Ki Shakti. And we just, through the TV channel of the organization, we said, everybody, whatever seva you're doing, in the pandemic, send it to us. We had little children sending their videos that I am making tea for my security guard or I'm cooking for somebody, very sweet, little things, very little things. And then, one thing which almost everyone said, I've never felt so happy as I'm feeling while doing this seva, and which is a reality. Happiness is not about acquiring, happiness is about giving. So when you shift from just acquiring and wanting and taking to giving, first person to benefit is us. Then it's them. Second is they. First person is we are. So keep radiating all that kindness and goodness and purity to each one. Even if you can't go out and do it in your mind. Do it in your mind on a daily basis. Then call up everyone who's not well. Anyone who's in isolation, call them up. Call them up for 5 minutes, talk to them for everything about, but except for COVID. Don't talk to them about COVID and don't tell them how to treat themselves. Talk to them other things, energize them. This is also seva, financially contribute, and physically, of course, for those who can go out and do it. So seva is huge power and seva increases our emotional health levels.
Great. I think good point on Seva actually helping the doer,
Yes.
not the benefactor here.
Yes.
And so maybe since the emotional distress is high, we need that Seva for ourselves to
Yes.
feel good, and that provides a different perspective
Right.
altogether. So we're coming to a close of this session, sister, and I think very, very powerful, energizing, yet practical tips from you for all of us, and especially the healthcare workers, all the seen, unseen, unsung heroes of the healthcare industry who are helping us go through this pandemic and come out victorious as a society. So, any last words, closing comments, sister, from your side?
It's just that make self-care a priority. Make self-care a priority. If you're a healthcare worker, make self-care a priority. Even if you're not, make self-care a priority. We need to take care of the mind and the body, because when emotional health dips, then sometimes it can tip off to a mental health issue. We don't want that to happen. We are on steep rise in mental health issues in the country. So it's the need of the hour. And this is not just because of COVID, because within a few months, we would all be vaccinated and everything would be settled. But even then, when we go back to our normal lives, normal working, please invest at least 30 minutes for self-care on a daily basis so that you are in the best emotional health, emotional fitness. Okay, there won't be a pandemic very soon, but we don't know when there can be a crisis in my life. I, as an individual, have to be equipped to face any situation in my life. And so, emotionally energize yourself on a daily basis with that morning 15, 20 minutes of spiritual study, meditation, just half an hour in the morning, 15 minutes before going to sleep. Say your affirmations and energize your food and water, and experiment with a vegetarian diet. Very, very important to experiment with a vegetarian diet, because food is not just nutrients, it's vibrations. It's vibrations. An animal in a slaughterhouse, those vibrations of fear, anxiety, pain, helplessness, and then violence and death, this is not good energy for the mind. Someone said it's health, but it's not health, it's just proteins. Death cannot be health for another person. So experiment with the vegetarian diet, see how light you'll start feeling in your mind and body. So just take care of yourself, and then you're always ready, equipped, and energized to take care of others. So same thing, that oxygen mask for the self on a daily basis.
Thank you, Sister Shivani, for those practical tips. And thanks everyone for joining this session of the Abhaya Talks. I know with all, if we do what Sister Shivani has asked us to do, I'm sure the divine circle of protection will be around us, and we shall all be vibrating at a different level of frequency. And finally, we shall all overcome. Right, and I think live the life to its fullest potential. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti Ji. Thank you so much.